So what I had to do was let go of the confusion that all that action was part of the creation.
Well, you will be inspired to action, and so that's where that comes in. In other words, once your energy's lined up, you're often inspired to action that dovetails, and inspired action is so delicious. And action from the standpoint of trying to correct something that's moving in the wrong direction is so miserable. And so get lined up, and then anything that you're inspired to, follow along with it. But don't do something because you should do it. Don't do something to get it checked off your list. Do it because you can't not do it, because the forces and the sources of source energy are calling you toward it. And you can tell the difference between that inspiration and that motivation. Inspiration is always you're being called to something. Motivation is, I should do it because. Inspiration is, I want to do this. I want to do this more than life itself, because it is life itself, you see.
It feels so much more peaceful.
Yes, it is. So let's say that you're standing in a place where you have an idea that you think that might be a good action to take. And so you just contemplate taking the action. You just imagine taking it. And in your imagery, if it feels free-flowing and exhilarating to you, then that's an indication that it is going with the flow. But if it feels uncomfortable to you, then that's an indication that there's some resistance. Now, here's a question that we want to put back to you. Does a feeling of resistance about a certain action, you following that, does that mean it's the wrong action?
No, not necessarily, because I might get contrast from that, which will lead me to knowing more of what I want.
That is always true. But even more than that, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's the wrong action. It always means, you're going to really like this, that I haven't done enough energy alignment to make it feel right. In other words, it doesn't mean it's wrong. It means I'm trying to get too much leverage out of my action. How about that? It just means I'm trying to get too much leverage out of my action. Why not pre-pave it with more thought? So let's readdress this subject. So how much action is the right action in the creation of anything? And we say, sometimes you're in a situation, we're going beyond where you are because you've got your life into a pretty good place, and yet still there is action required of you. And sometimes it's action that you would not necessarily want to do. And so let's talk about how much action is good action. How much should I be acting, and how much should I be flowing thought energy? What's the right ratio? And we say, we're not trying to talk you out of action. We're trying to encourage you into only action that feels good. And you say, oh, well, that's all well and good, Abraham. All of us want that. But what do we do today? What do we do today when we have to do, I have to go to a job, we're speaking on behalf of others, I have to go to a job that I don't necessarily want to go to, and I have to clean my house in a way that I don't necessarily want to, and I have to find somebody to mow my lawn or mow it myself when I don't necessarily want to. How much action do I actually do? And we say, if you can find a way to soothe your emotions while you perform this action that you don't want to perform, you will line up the energy, and your necessity to act in that way will become less in this moment. If every action you take that makes you feel like I'd rather not do it, you will talk yourself into alignment with the idea of it. Now, this goes contrary to what a lot of you think, because a lot of people think that if I talk my resistance down about this action that I don't want to do, that's like saying to the universe, bring me more of the stuff I don't want to do. And we say, that's never what's happening. By talking down your resistance about this action that you don't want to do, all that happens is that you turn and go more with the flow, which means universal forces make it less necessary for you to do this thing you don't want to do and line it up for you in a way that is more like the way you want to do it. Good.